Let's chat about these anger outbursts that seem to come from nowhere. As you're joining in the live, say hi, tell me where you're joining from. And yeah, hi. Let me wait for one or two of you to join. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Cindy. Hi, ladies. As you're joining, drop a heart and tell me where you're joining us from. And if you feel like you cannot stop anger outbursts that seem to come from nowhere, this live is for you. My name is Miss Linda. Thank you so much for following. So many of you have followed my page in the last week or so. This is great. So in this live, I want to talk about why you seem to have all these anger outbursts that come from nowhere, okay? The biggest mistakes that you are making, and also I made the mistakes that I'm gonna speak about when it comes to anger. Hey Mozo, all the way from London. Thank you so much for joining, yeah? Let me know where you're joining the live from. Okay, and the one thing you need to do to start to deal with your emotions in a healthy way and get your desires met in your relationship. If you're new to my page, I'm Miss Linda and I help you get pampered wife treatment. I help you receive queen treatment, goddess treatment from your marriage. Even if you are on the brink of divorce, I believe you can get the love that you deserve. Thank you, Ajoke. So, let's chat about this anger, yeah? This is something that so many of us women are experiencing. And if you're listening to this, I want to tell you it's completely normal to feel all kinds of emotions, yeah? I know one thing, as women, we tend to feel that some emotions are good and others are bad, yeah? Some emotions, like if you are sweet, if you are nice, if you are caring, if you're loving, those are the light emotions that we as women are taught to embrace more of, and then shun away these darker emotions like anger, like rage. All these emotions, sometimes we throw them in the back burner. And I'm here to tell you that your emotions, there is nothing wrong with the range of emotions. That's what makes us women. That's what makes us feminine in our nature. We have a wide range of emotions. And the problem is not knowing how to deal with the emotion. Okay, so there are certain mistakes that I made. For me, in fact, that was the one thing that until today I struggle with. And I'm going to be very honest. For me, I have a very fiery energy, okay? I'm a firstborn. I'm used to being in control. I'm used to leading. And I have anger, okay? And my anger is to the point where sometimes when I start yelling, my husband will be like, ooh, babe, let me just step out. I need to go outside. So I really understand this anger thing, and it's something I have consciously and I am consciously working through, because I know myself, I know my weaknesses, and I know that is one of the things that if I was to get separated, because most of you have been following me for some time, we were separated for 6 months. And when we came back together, that was the one thing my hubby told me I need to work on. And of course, sometimes we never want to hear our own weaknesses. And I tell any woman, whether you stay with your hubby or you move to the next relationship, there's only you. And a pampered wife is a woman who is self-aware, okay? She's a woman who understands we are always growing, we are always learning, we are always, elevating ourselves as women, okay? And why is it important to deal with your anger? One thing I've learned, for a woman, anger is stored in your body. Anger is stored in your body. Okay, there are various places where anger gets stored. It can be anywhere in your body. And not only does it cause a lot of stress, yeah? When you're stressed, what can't you do? You can't sleep well at night. When you can't sleep well at night, your relationship, even with your kids, with your nanny, at work, you're always irritable. And then it starts to cause health problems, yeah? And there's just this whole trickle effect whereby you just start to feel like you're always irritable, everything is wrong. It's like a negative spiral. And one of the reasons is because of this anger that you're feeling. And like I've mentioned, there's nothing wrong with the emotion. There's nothing wrong with my anger. it's really about learning how to deal with this anger and move forward. Okay, so like I've mentioned, this is like an emotion I've had to deal with. Yeah, and even you saw I went on a solo vacation. I came back and I was talking to my nanny, and I was just like, in fact, yesterday we were supposed to, we usually do shopping on Saturdays. Yeah, so the list had not been done. And it frustrates me when I come and I find the shopping list not done, because hubby wants to go do shopping. Where's the list? It's really not my job. So I had to really take a breath. And I even had to tell her, I've come from a trip and I am feeling so relaxed. So let me take a minute to cool myself down before things start to spiral out of control. Okay, so some of the mistakes that I made, and this is something that I'm seeing with my private clients as well, when it comes to anger, okay? The first thing is having that sense of urgency to resolve the problem right now. You're having an argument with your man, you are angry, you're spinning out of control. What do you want to do? You want to resolve the problem right now. Now, what's wrong with that? Yeah, you may feel that, okay, this is important, I want to resolve it right now, but realize you're not grounded. You are not yet grounded. You are being triggered. That's why you have this outburst where you're out of control. And one thing I've learned about working with emotions is the best way, and this is a tip you can take, and this is something that I do, because sometimes I get emails, maybe from clients or my comment section, there are some posts I make. I usually have to ask myself, how am I feeling right now? Am I at a state of mind where I am able to respond to this thing? So usually, most of the times where you find where there's this back and forth with your man is because you have this urgency. You have this urgency of, oh my God, I want to resolve this problem right now. And at that point, you are raging hot. So chances are you are going to resolve the problem. He's feeling, and everyone around you will feel like, we are not safe here. We are not safe, because it's like you've triggered a survival response. And what starts to happen is people want to run away from that, because it's not a safe space. It's not a safe environment for anyone to even have any stable conversation. So that is the first mistake I noticed that even I myself used to make, and I still make, and I'm working through it, is you do not have to solve the problem right there and then. Having that urgency, really nothing good ever comes out of it. In fact, if anything, that's where you start finding yourself having that tit for tat. Because you're coming, remember, anger is masculine energy, yeah? There's nothing wrong with masculine energy, but it signals like, I'm ready to fight. I am ready to fight. So unconsciously, and all these signals that we send, our energy, the way it comes through to the other person is like, I'm not safe here. So either, and this is something I notice with my clients, and even most of the ladies I talk to, they come with that heat, that rage, that anger. Two responses. Either the man wants to fight back with you, and then you get stuck in this power struggle, or he will tell you, I need to take time out, I need to go. And what starts to happen, because you're out of control, remember, you're not grounded. You've been triggered, yeah? You're out of control. So what happens? He wants to run away, and then you run after him. And of course, you cannot out-compete a man. So that's the first mistake, having that urgency to resolve problems when you are in this angry mode. Okay. Number 2 is thinking that the problem is him. What I've known is when there is an outburst, this is usually a sign that probably you've been keeping, it's a deeper sign of a wounding. Okay, outbursts are usually a sign of wounding. And wounding usually comes from things that happen in your childhood years. So that's why maybe you might go and initiate intimacy with him. Maybe you've not been intimate for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and you go and send him a flirty text like, oh babe, I want to see you later today. I can't wait to see you. Then him is like, no, me, I'm good, I'm fine. something small like that can activate you and trigger you. And you start to feel angry and you start an argument right there, without realizing that the root cause is deeper than that. The root cause is that you are feeling rejected. And this rejection feels extra painful because it's reminding you of pain from your younger years. Now remember, there are healthy ways of reacting to situations and there are negative, toxic ways. Okay? And I'm speaking about this outburst. Anytime the word outburst is there, there's some toxicity in there because you're not yet regulated, you're not calm. Like I've mentioned, you've gone, you want to be intimate with you, and he says he's tired, it's triggering you. You start to feel like why you don't even tell him you're feeling rejected. What you start to say is maybe you start to think, are you cheating? The immediate thing goes to, are you cheating? Yeah? Or he says, maybe you wear a cute dress and he does not notice you. You immediately pick up a fight. And he's wondering, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Without realizing that underneath all this anger is a wounded little girl. A girl who for a long time has had to deal with a lot of pain and wounding. And because it's not, what starts to happen when these outbursts are not resolved, if you do not deal with this pain, what starts to happen, it manifests with, like I've mentioned, some women, that's why there's a lot of stress. Women are under so much stress. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. Moms are tired. Moms are stressed. Moms are not able to even feel pleasure. Pleasure is a very feminine thing. Yeah? Just being able to be relaxed, to be at ease, it cannot be there because underneath all this, you're carrying a lot of unprocessed anger. Okay? Another thing that starts to happen with this anger outburst, you start to find that no one wants to be around you. The other day, I was having a consultation, and this babe, being real, and she mentioned that she's turning 40 and she's realizing she's losing more and more of her friends. Yeah, granted, not everyone is a forever friend. We all have seasonal friends. Yeah, the same way not everyone can walk through life with you. But at some point, we usually know that maybe I could be contributing to this thing. Okay, so what starts to happen, you start to find you have fewer friends. Okay, what starts to happen, you find all of a sudden your man is overworking. What starts to find within yourself, you are not content. You are not content. And if a woman is not content, if a woman is not at ease, if a woman is not okay, and I'm not saying we are supposed to be like Mother Mary, no, we are not God, but there has to be a level of ease for us to even be able to create a healthy relationship with those around us. Okay, so one thing I've learned, and this is something I work with my private clients, the reason is that for you to be able to stop these anger outbursts, you have to go to the root cause. The root cause is there is wounding, pain from your younger years, unresolved pain, such that a situation, your habit it tells you you want to make love to him and he's not interested. You have this unrealistic reaction. And remember, there is healthy reaction, but I'm talking about outbursts. There is this thing where you immediately feel, is there another woman? Now remember, anytime you are acting in a way that's out of proportion, and most of the times yelling, shouting, all these outbursts that cannot be explained, that is a sign of wounding. And the big tip for you, and one thing I've also learned, that's why a lot of the times there are all these tips, how to communicate with your man, how to talk to a man, tell him this, if he stays out until 4 a.m, tell him this. It does not address the deeper issue of there is wounding that has been creating this disconnect. And if you want to be able to feel light, if you want to be able to just be, and learn how to communicate. And you know, one thing, as a mom, and I'm going to talk woman to woman, so many women grew up seeing angry moms. In fact, the other day, I was even talking to Happy. And drop your questions if you have your questions. I saw there's this whole thing on TikTok of we do not care. Okay? We do not care. So these are women who have decided there are things that they do not care. Yeah? And it's amazing for you to be able to express the things that you do not care about. That is okay. But then the question is, are you doing it in a healthy way or is it in a toxic way? Because one thing you realize, many women grew up seeing their mothers in so much pain. Most of my clients, when they come to me, they're usually the child who was the one who had to sit and listen to the mother complaining about the father. She's usually that child. She's usually that child who probably when she was 8 years old had to be the one who, like, if, you know, had to soothe mommy. Maybe she would go and find the mom so, you know, annoyed or just sad in a corner. And probably she was that empath. She was just that child who had to go and ask, mommy, what's wrong? Mommy, what's wrong? Most of my clients are that in nature. They're usually the ones who are the parents. They've had to play this role of parenting. And remember, this is a heavy role. So you can imagine if you grew up seeing your mother unhappy throughout, complaining throughout. Of course, whatever it is that she has been complaining about, unconsciously, you will carry those behaviors in your marriage. If she always complained that dad cheats, dad lies, even if you're 40 years old in a marriage, you will always carry that storyline that men cheat. So over time, you are carrying pain from your younger years. And even if you skip dating, because dating is like auditioning. Dating is auditioning. Marriage is the job. Yeah? I always say, and even when people ask me, Linda, how can you learn some of these things? And I always say, sometimes, yes, you can do the inner work. Yes, you can do all this personal growth work. But there's always something for you to work through because nobody is perfect. And the thing is to be aware. It's very different when you are aware that if you're having a wild reaction, you're always yelling and shouting, realize that is a toxic way of relating. And it's not your fault. You probably saw mothers and women around you doing relationships like that. And it's because underneath all this, there is pain that you're not yet processing. I want to see if there is anyone who has any question around this. So to recap, anger is just an emotion, like any emotion. But when it starts to be outbursts, it's a sign that you are being triggered. And triggers usually come from childhood wounding, things you've not resolved. And one thing I always say is, I used to ask myself, and I ask any of my private clients, so even if you were to leave this man, your hubby, and go to the next man, will you know how to do it differently? Would you know? Would you have the tools? Would you have the skills? Would you know how to resource yourself? Would you know how to find out whether this is a wounding, whether this is a trigger? Would you even know how to relay that trigger to your hubby? Would you know, even after that, how to soothe yourself and still be able to go and express your needs in a healthy way to get whatever it is that you want? One thing I've learned in this process, it's easy to have a bad marriage. In fact, we were talking with hubby yesterday. It's easy. Bad marriages are easy. You just go and be yourself. Just be who you are. There's nothing wrong with who you are, but just be. However, my perspective is, if I could take time to learn healthy ways of relating. In fact, right now, he's waiting for me. We're supposed to be doing something. If I can take time to learn healthier ways of relating, if I can take time to go and study and get an MBA so I can go and work for somebody else, why do we assume that relationships are natural? Healthy relationships are natural. It's a learned skill. And my perspective is this. I have a child. I have a son. And I feel it's my responsibility to show him what a happy woman looks like. And I feel at some point, many of us are the change makers in our generational lineage. You probably, if you follow my page, I always tell any woman who comes to my consultations, you are the change maker. This pain, when it comes to love, did not start with your husband. It started probably when you were a little girl. You saw many things growing up. So you always have the choice. We really do have the choice to either keep doing what we are doing and pass on the same pain to our children, or decide, you know what? Maybe I need to look at some things. Maybe I need to unlearn. Maybe because I did not see healthy ways of relationship, maybe I am allowing that imprinting from when I grew up to run how I show up as a woman, how I show up in marriage. And we really underestimate just how much a lot of this programming shapes us. Right now, I'm 42. The messaging right now is, if you're not 20, you are not attractive. Or you go and sit with other women and tell you, oh my goodness, goat wives versus side chicks. And I hate such conversations because I'm like, what are we? Are we fighting over a lollipop in class? Society has a way of telling you what relationship looks like. And I always say, if it does not feel good, if your relationship does not feel good, there is something. Because love is meant to feel good most of the time. Love is meant to feel good most of the time. And that means you getting the support. Go sit with a coach, go sit with a mentor, go sit with a friend, or even some elder lady who has a healthy, good marriage. And we are not talking about perfection. We are just talking about changing the narrative about what it means to be a mother, what it means to be a wife, what it means to be a happy woman. So that our children, when they are 30, they are not having to do this hard emotional labor of going to unlearn the bullshit, the bullshit that we passed down to them. It can't stop with, I said, it's gonna stop with me. And it can't stop with you too. Okay. So, like I've mentioned, let me see if there are any questions. If you have any questions coming up, if you're interested in working on your relationship so that you can get your needs met. I always say your hubby is gonna pamper someone. Why not you? Why not you? Why not you? Why not you? You deserve to be taken care of. You deserve to feel at ease. But there's no way a man is going to feel inspired to take care of someone who herself, she's not taking care of herself emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. Such that even if you're going to ask for 1,000 acres of land, you're not going to have a back and forth. It's just a conversation. Because you become this high quality woman who really loves herself, takes care of herself. You're not trying to play victim over here and say, oh, he did this, he did that. Let me tell you the biggest secret. Men respond. Men respond. This is the secret now. Nobody is telling you. Men respond. Men respond. They do. The man who is meant to be for you is going to respond. And even if you do your inner work, because I know you're already on your self-mastery journey, because most of my clients who come to me, they are already on their self-mastery journey. They want to know themselves. They want to start to remove all these layers. Because this anger is not who you truly are, by the way. You are not an angry woman. Your true natural essence, when you were born perfect. You were born perfect. But as you started to go through life, there was all these stories you started to receive. You were told, men are like this. Love is hard. Wives behave this way. This is how a good girl behaves. So you learned how to perform. You learned how to perform so that your dad can love you. You learned how to perform so that mom can say, wow, look at my perfect daughter. You learned how to perform for your boss. You learned how to perform all the way. Even all those bridal shower teachings, you were being trained how to perform. So you've been carrying a lot of pain and wounding that is not yours, that you need to release. Put down that bag. It's not yours. So I'm here to remind you, you deserve to be well taken care of. You deserve to be well taken care of. I'm here to remind you it is your birthright. That hubby of yours is dying to pamper you. And he's gonna do that. But I need you to believe that you are worthy. You are not your pain. You are not your pain. That Erykah Badu bag lady, let's just start to put this pain down. People have been telling you how to live life. But deep down you know there is a way you want to do your relationship. There is a way you want to show up as a woman. This is your reminder that you get to do that. Seeking support, there's nothing wrong with that. We are meant to grow. We are meant to learn. We are meant to evolve. That's just the cycle of life. And remember, as a woman, we go through lots of transitions. From the time we got our menstrual period, to the time we were in our maiden years, young girls in our 20s, the most seductive, the most fun, the most painful, playful, to the time when we became mothers. All these are transitions I'm talking about. You got your period, you became a girl. From that time, you got married, you became a mother. You are now a mother, going through work, navigating life. As you go through the work, there is the perimenopause period that's coming up. You're now transitioning out of your motherhood. Probably you're gonna become an empty nester, another life cycle. You go through menopause. Our life cycle as women is completely different from men. That's why anybody who comes and says, "Ooh, why do I have to embody my femininity?" I look at her and I feel so sorry. Because I'm here to say, babe, you are a woman. You were never born to be a man. The society is shaping you into a second man. But your body, your soul, your spirit is that of a woman. So there is a question here. How do you get not yet married by looking for? So I think, Perry, and this is something I really appreciate you, the single ladies who all come to me. I'm not a dating coach. I don't teach dating. So because you're telling me you're not yet married, my recommendation would be for you to go look for dating coaches. There's so much information. You can go Google, you can go do your research. Go and find a dating coach to help you. Because your problem is not about being pampered. Your problem is learning how to meet, attract, and get married to high quality men. That is your problem. Okay? Because technically, if you're dating, your men, whoever you're dating, should be taking care of you anyway, in whatever that means. But let's not confuse that. Because one mistake, and I'm happy you've mentioned this, I'm seeing a lot of single women taking my advice and using it for dating. No, it cannot work. That man is, the men you're dealing with are not yet proven. These are just men. Yeah? It's like applying for a job. you are sending out job applications, and then you've not yet even received a job offer, you're already showing up at the door and saying, I'm ready to work. No. Perry, great question. My suggestion, go get a dating coach so that you learn how to vet, meet, and attract quality men. Okay? And do this from a place of self-worth. Okay? So that's what I would recommend. Yeah? And I think there's so much information right now in the internet. And I was even thinking about this the other day. Some of us, we winged it technically. When I was getting married, it was me and my mom, and we just decided, okay, this is the year, yes. Okay, yeah. I used to walk with her. So her friends and her men's, her mother's friend, I was open, literally. Like, that's all you need to do. So that's what we did. But what really confuses me is that there's so much dating information and it still looks like there is a gap. Yeah? So anyway, Perry, go and get a dating coach. Go read dating books. I think that will be my best recommendation. And remember, do not take my marriage advice, even though some of you, by there, and you see, the thing is, I can't stop. The other day, a side chick DM'd me and she told me, Linda, thank you so much. I'm taking your advice, and somebody's husband is now marrying me. He's going to introduce me to the wife. And that is not my intention. That is not my intention. My intention is to help our children have happy homes. This is for us married women. And the reason why it does not work is because you're dealing with men who are not proven. You're already jumping 10 steps ahead. Your business should be vetting and attracting quality men, not how to be pampered. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Okay, so if you're interested in bringing back the spark, if you're contemplating divorce or you are separated, please feel free to DM me. This is work I do with my clients. This is just like a tip of the iceberg. There's quite a lot more that we go into. And send me a DM and let's see if we would be a fit to work together privately. All right. So thank you so much. Bye.